G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Final game on Friday night, late night rugby. Western Force taking on the Queensland Reds at home in the Force Field at Perth. This was a really close game for the most part. Was highly contested. Western Force has come a long way from just being like, you know, the punching dummy in the league to like serious contender that's rivaling the top teams in the competition. It's really good to see. And you know, overall, I felt like Western Force definitely had an opportunity here to actually close out the game. But yeah, just that, you know, I think the kicking game from the Reds may be a little bit better. And overall, I felt like James O'Connor's game management was just that little bit better and was able to really just, yeah, create quite a number of opportunities for the Reds to bust through the Western Force defense and setting up tries. And yeah, it was just tremendous performance by James O'Connor. Actually quite impressive today. And the Western Force, not too bad themselves. Really good, like determination, heart, a lot of grit. You can tell they really wanted to win this game, but it just maybe fell short a little bit on the execution, on some set pieces, maybe a little bit behind the Reds. There was some really good set pieces for the Western Force as well. There was like one of the scrums, Western Force centerfield scrum. This is like the first time I've seen this set piece before. The ball comes out, the number 10, high bomb into the, like basically under the goal stick, like from the centerfield scrum inside the Reds half. Just big high bomb. And then the ball bounced in the end zone. And one of the Force forward caught the bounce and went in for an easy try. It was just like something that you don't ever see before, but it was executed perfectly. And also probably the other thing that the Force kind of like hurt them a little bit is just their, their kicking game on the field. I feel like the Reds managed the territory a little bit better, despite having, you know, more possession, more, opportunities, I think at times, in fact. But the Reds were able to just really manage those times a little bit better, a little more clinical than the Western Force did. And yeah, that really kind of definitely has a little bit they can improve and definitely could be a little bit better as well. And this was a game where Hunter Paisami put on some big shots and eventually was too much. Got sent off for a yellow card. And then the Reds had quite a bit of discipline issues. In fact, they got 2 yellow cards. Coach Brad Thornton's not going to be happy with that. Something that they're probably going to be talking about. The second yellow card was the result of, just repeated penalties. Was stacking up too much inside the Reds' danger zone. And the referee gave the Reds a warning, and then it was still happening. So Reds had 2 yellow cards for the little mistakes. Overall, this was rather entertaining game. I do feel like there was probably a bit too much stoppage in the second half. Like every 10 minutes, somebody's is on the ground getting the legs rubbed. Like I was just like, I was not really impressed by that. Like sure, if there's a HRA following a collusion or something, then it's understandable, but it was just getting a bit too much. Like if players are cramping, something that seems to be happening with Jordan Patea, he should have just came off. Like they should have just taken him off the field instead of just like wasting everyone's time watching him getting a massage in the middle of the field whilst everyone's taking a break. I didn't really like that a lot. I feel like that the momentum that the Western Force had was really stymied a lot with this, like, you know, injury breaks that the Reds were kind of guilty of taking a lot in the second half. So that was, there's something to be done for that. If you, I know in New Zealand, they have this thing where the referee just basically like, don't give a F about the injuries, just like get off the field, we're going to play on. Or you can just, you know, stay on the field, going to play on around you anyway. So that's kind of the attitude New Zealand have. I feel like that's probably a bit too much because, you know, if players are actually injured, you want to give them time. But in this case, the players are just like cramping and like they should just be taken off the field, right? Like there's no reason to see a player getting a massage in the middle of the field for like 3 minutes while everybody's having a drink. That should just be taken off the field there. Like that's not, that the game should be played on. And that, you know, that was, I feel like not only it wasn't good to watch, but I feel like strategically you really messed up the momentum for a team. Because if the Western Force was on a bit of a roll, you take a break, that momentum could be lost. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. Overall, let's take a look at the stats. The tries, 4 tries to 1. Western Force were well in the game till like late in the second half. 311 run meters to 406 to the Reds. The turnover conceded, 18 against the Reds, 12 against the Western Force. So much better at that turnover for the Western Force over the Reds. Tackle count, super good. 157 tackles, 18 missed tackles for the Force. That is like really like high up there. The Reds also really good as well. 115 tackles made, 17 missed tackles. Kicks in play, 18 apiece. But the just the accuracy from the Reds, just the effectiveness of the kicking from the Reds seems just to be a little bit better. They're able to find that space a little bit better than the Western Force. I did feel like the lineouts were kind of poor for both teams. The Reds particularly bad. 4 lineouts lost in their own throw. 2 for the Western Force. Coach Brad Thorne's not going to be happy with that. Finally, the big discipline issue for the Reds. 15 penalties conceded to the Western Force 8. And the Reds had 2 yellow cards. Yeah, that's not something that you kind of want going into like the later championship rounds. Just so you kind of know, at halftime, the penalty count was 10 against the Reds already. For the Western Force, only 2 penalties conceded. So this is something that's definitely has always been an issue since for the Reds, even since like last year they had penalty issues. But again, it's starting to creeping back into the game. So yeah, this game kind of like started with the Reds on the front foot a little bit. Straight away, the James O'Connor just the magician. Like a magician, he's able to just bait the defensive line, open a little bit of the gap, allows him to send a short ball to who was it? Fraser McBride, who ran an inside ball, goes through the big gap. He links up with Hamish Stewart. 7 minutes into the game, Reds crash over for the first try. The Force looked fired up after this try, and I thought the Force was going to get back and get smashing for a try. So they were smashing, but the Reds gave away some penalties, stopping the momentum, and the Western Force thinks that it's time to take the, thinks that, so the Western Force were able to get pressure on, but were only able to get one penalty in return. And then the game kind of like slowed a lot. The Western Force seems actually had the more of the ascendancy in the first half, just before just before on the 30 minutes mark, Western Force gets on their first try. After the Reds scored, like literally as the retaliation to Reds' second try. So let's see what happened here. So once again, second try by the Reds, 25 minutes in. The Western Force weren't able to get any points, was putting a lot of pressure on. Once again, James O'Connor managed to, hold the ball just long enough for the defensive gap between the 10 and 12 channel to open up. He sends a flat ball to, I think it was Jordan Patea, and then Jordan Patea finds a gap, runs through, links up with Campbell out wide, goes in the second try for the Reds. Just almost like the Reds had nothing going, and then James O'Connor just created this opportunity out of thin air. And after this try, like I said, Western Force really started to get a bit frustrated, it looks like. Really put on a lot of pressure. Finally, 30 minutes in, the Western Force had a centerfield scrum. I've never seen this set piece before. Centerfield scrum, about 22, just outside of the 22. They did a bomb from the scrum after getting to pick up the ball. Just a bomb straight under the sticks. And then the ball bounced into the end zone. Godwin gets there. Ball bounced perfectly for him. He catches it. Plants the ball down for the first try for the Western Force. Just before halftime, Western Force, again, looking like they're building pressure. Looking like there's really some momentum going. But yeah, they got there, but they thought... I felt like they took the soft option here. They should have gone for a try. They ended up taking the 3 points going to halftime. The Reds missed the conversion, so the Western Force going to halftime 13 points to 12, leading by 1. And that is pretty much you know, I thought that was probably a bit of momentum loss for the Western Force, especially at that point. The Reds had a yellow card for the pressure that was being piled onto them. Repeated penalties given out. So I thought that 3 points just before halftime should have been for try. But yeah, Western Force obviously having a bit of respect for the Reds, chose the 3 points going into halftime. Second half comes in. The game, again, Reds kind of stabilized. Western Force tries to build the same momentum with a one-play advantage. Not really able to get there. Reds really managed well. Eventually, the Reds were able to get a try on the 64th minute. Fluke gets in for the try for the Reds. Again, this just like really good game management by James O'Connor. Eventually, the Reds gets in for that third try. And then Western Force were only able to retaliate with a penalty goal in the second half. And then it's just, yeah, once again, it kind of just looked like the Western Force was maybe a bit timid by the Reds, despite the fact that when they do attack, they were getting the forward momentum, but it just looked like the execution was a little bit off, and they were getting a little bit frustrated. So they were taking 3 points, took one penalty in the second half, and that was all they could have mastered. Despite, you know, a bit later in the second half, Matalei gets a good run from outside of his own half, managed to basically bust the gaps from inside his own 22, runs to about the halfway point, gets smashed by Hunter Paisami, and Hunter Paisami kind of like lifts him up a little bit and kind of drops him. Referee says that's over the horizontal. I thought that was probably, yeah, I thought that was probably okay. 50-50 to me. I thought that was maybe just flat, wasn't really over the horizontal. And then he gets a yellow card. So yeah, despite this yellow card, the Western Force still not able to score a try. And then Reds, despite having one play in the bin, able to score with Fluke, right? So that's kind of like what I felt like maybe the Western Force should have put a bit of pressure on a bit more there, instead of taking the penalty kick during that yellow card period. And then finally, with the you know, yellow card expired, Reds back to full strength, piling back pressure against the Western Force again, really close to Western Force line, and once again the magician James O'Connor, just once again he's able to do these things where you look like he's gonna pass the ball, but then he just holds on, so the defender thinks he's gonna run into him, and then he just pops the ball to the guy next to him, and then runs into a gap between the 10 and 12 channel, right? And this time Fraser McGrath, just like he did in the first half, this time it was really close, so only like 5-10 meters out, he just runs straight in for the try for the Reds. And that was the last bit of the last try of the game. Reds won 4-1, 29 points to 16. And yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. To me, I felt like maybe the execution, like small handling errors that the Western Force was having, maybe that's the reason they were a bit, you know, they were taking those 3 points. I did feel like they should have, you know, gone for the jack, because you were playing against, you know, the best team in potentially in Australia, and you know, as an underdog, you really need to take your opportunities a little bit more like aggressively than just taking 3 points when the player is in the bin in the opposition team. That's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Did you watch this game? Did you think this was a good game? Like, comment, and subscribe, yada yada yada. I do read all your comments. I do really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys later tomorrow. Cheers.